This is one thing which I noticed even when Rakesh said in earlier answer, marketing कुछ X बोल रहा है, when it comes to the sales वो Y बोल रहे हैं और channel partners Z बोल रहे हैं. Mostly it happens when you are hiring a mandate business. But coming there directly, I would say I have also noticed people who come from FMCG background or who come from Taj. I've seen the way they know their vision, mission, and how they keep it close to their heart and they follow it when they're in that particular company, which I have rarely seen when it comes to real estate brands. So do you feel when there's an inventory less for certain organization, then it makes sense for the mandate business of survival or mandate business being in the picture? But when it comes to bigger brands like you guys, Kalpataru and Rustomjee, mandate business is not the way to go about it, because your vision, your mission, the way your team would carry it forward, it might not happen through a outsider or happen through a mandate business. Would you agree with this?
I think we need to fundamentally understand that added advantage or the skill set that a mandate partner brings. I have a lot of respect for those people because most of them are my ex-colleagues in organizations where we have worked together, built brands, developed businesses, and honed those skill sets today, which is valued as problem solvers, right? So for an organization which does not have the ability to attract the right kind of talent, nurture them, develop them over a period of time, that is where it makes sense for you to look at an in-source, outsource. So it is like the old debate, right? Or why did outsourcing start as a business, right? Organizations started thinking, is this my core competitive advantage or is this core to my business? If it is not, so if somebody can do it more efficiently at a better cost, I will outsource. If those parameters are satisfied, yes, of course, why would you not? But is it a long-term sustainable solution? It's not. Because you have to understand what is the role of marketing in an organization, right? There are two fundamental roles. Marketing is the brand custodian. Like, this word is extremely powerful, right? If there is one person in the organization who holds the brand the closest to his or her heart, and always does everything which would protect and grow and nurture the brand against the will of even maybe a promoter, head of other functions, customer, it is marketing. Right? So that's a very, very, very powerful and a very, very important job to do. Right? The other aspect is marketing is the growth architect for the organization. Where is the growth going to come from? Growth is not going to come from reducing prices or putting your product on offer throughout. If something is on sale throughout, you never know what is the actual price of the product or what is the actual value that could be ascribed to the product, right? So if that is the role that marketing has to play, it is at the core and heart of any business. So it is your core, right? So you're not going to outsource your core. Now, where does the role of then mandate comes? What is the skill set that it is? Ready resource. Typically, if you have to go through the cycle of hiring the right talent, onboarding them, training them so that those gaps don't happen, marketing is saying something, sales is saying something, and channel partners are saying something else, it's a long cycle of involvement and it needs that level of dedication and it needs that level of involvement. When will you do it? When you have a long cycle of business that you see. If I look at Kalpataru's, say, this one launch pipeline for the next 5 years, I know what is the kind of growth that I have charted out and what I will need to do there, right? But if there is a new micro market that I am entering for the first time and I need talent with local intensive knowledge, for me to go through that cycle will take much longer. That's where I will look for a specialist partner for putting my feet on street, where their resource is already trained in that micro market and have successfully worked in that micro market. That's the role where even for an established organization, it can. So it's a strategic call that you have taken that I do not have a very long-term vision for this market as yet, which will depend on the success of my first project there. So you'd like to fund on that success by something which is already a proven ready resource.
Mm.
But is it a replacement for your core market business where you are headquartered?
But it's interesting you brought this point, because where the brands are expanding in tier 2 or tier 3 cities, of course, the help of mandate business or those local players come in hand. But don't you think in that particular zone also, maybe your communication can be compromised, or the way you are handling your customers or communication in headquarters, where you're trying to make a mark in a new city, smaller cities, depending on these local players, the brand, the way it should be positioned, or the way it should be explained, the way you would explain a local player of a different company would not be able to communicate that to the customer, right? So don't you think there will be a compromise?
No, I think it's the strength of your systems and processes. See, in marketing, that is where the way you set up your brand architecture, your brand tone of voice, how it is going to be represented, what is the identity, what is getting communicated, and create those across all touch points, and the rigorous effort that goes into training, deployment. It's not just about designing a brochure and printing and sending it to the sales office. It is actually deploying that collateral in person, teaching the sales team how to use that collateral to sell. So the job doesn't end by just creating the beautiful brochures and just doing a dispatch, right? You have to take even more effort when that resource is not internal to your organization. They may have, why are you bringing them on board? You're bringing them on board based on their local market knowledge, their ability to sell, negotiation skills, their overall disposition, ability to handle customer objections. All those skill sets are there because of which you are buying that solution, right? What you need to teach that resource essentially is about your brand, about your project. And because you have onboarded hopefully better quality resource, that can be done faster than if you had not onboarded good quality resource. That is where the role is very, very important. So the involvement doesn't end just because you have outsourced it to a mandate partner. Right? There are organizations where they do not have the sales and marketing skill sets in the organization, where they have completely given that function to a mandate partner, saying, please come and do it for us. This is my product. This is my price point. This is how much I would like to invest in this for this particular campaign, for launch, or for selling this much volume of inventory. And then they take up the entire piece, which is not we see as the success of this business or the growth of this business. And that's not at Kalpataru is how we see mandate partner.
Do you want to add anything to this?
Yeah. So I think, even when one adds the mandate partner, like I mentioned about my limited experience, so it does not work like a principal and agent relationship. It works more like a partnership. You have to be together. You have to understand. The consumer or the market cannot get a feeling that there are two different entities who are approaching this. So the mandate partners bring in a lot of strengths and advantages in terms of ability to scale up quickly, understand the consumers and the competitive scenario in a particular market, and the ability to execute precisely what you want them to execute. So I think it has to be a collaborative effort. It has to be like a partnership. And also I have seen, whatever I have noticed is, you're talking about brand and communication or the advertising or communication campaigns. I think most of the A-grade developers or most of the brands, would like to keep the brand and communication part, in close observations. And I think the way the brand will be communicated or the benefits of the product will be communicated will be very closely supervised by the brand. And I think it is the local execution, getting more channel partners, getting the walk-ins, getting the customers, meeting and negotiating with them. That entire process needs to be detailed out and has to be worked very, very closely. So I think a partnership or collaborative approach is going to make it successful. And that is what we also see. Where we've been able to form better collaboration at the local site level, we've seen better results coming.
Good you brought the channel partner thing. Last year, I remember one of the known developer project I visited in Thane. I'm not going to name the developer, but where you pointed out now, where I had gone to sales office, I could actually see the difference. There's a channel partner and there's a team. a customer would not understand, but being from this industry, when the way I was approached, the way the channel partner was talking, and the way the salesperson was talking, that differentiate should not be there, right? And I could see that.
Yeah.
So how do you guys make sure during your site level, the customers who are coming, and even, of course, the channel partner also bring in their customer, your team is also there. How do you make sure the communication stays seamless? The consumer does not feel, because it gave me a feeling, what is happening here? Like, this person is communicating in a certain way and this other person is communicating in that way. And that did not give me a feeling of, I would say, it gave me more feeling of being skeptical, what's going on, to the point I want to sit and listen. So how do you make sure such incidents do not happen in your site level?
So what we do is essentially have a very clearly crafted customer journey and roles and responsibilities for everybody who come in contact with the customer. So if you look at our point of sales, which is our sales galleries, they are almost like what you see as front of house of a well-run hotel or a resort, or say a boutique of a good brand, right? Where everything is orchestrated, everybody has a role to play, and when it happens in sync, then customers leave with the best, I would say, experience or the. So the role that we see for our channel partners is they are essentially a 60 to 65% of our distribution business, right?
Mm.
So if I look at my sales sourcing team, which goes out to the market to activate these channel partners to reach out to their customers. So they are the extended arm of the organization in distribution. So their primary role is, in the limited fashion, to represent the organization, explain what the product opportunity could be, and more than that, being closest to the customer, have a better understanding of the need or the search stage that the customer is, which is the flow back through the source team to the site sales team, that what essentially is this customer looking for.
Right.
Because that information today technology allows us to do that very, very seamlessly, that because then only you can prepare your pitch and your offering where the customer almost feels that this product is meant only for me. You know, that can only happen when this is working very seamlessly. Now, if you expect that I'm not going to invest in my sales people at my point of sale, and I will ask my channel partner to represent me at my sales gallery, the dissonance starts, which is essentially what you are quoting, because the channel partner actually has no role once he or she has brought the customer to your point of sale. You have designated people there to give the customer an experience on the brand, the legacy, the heritage, the product, showcase the collaterals, whether it's your models, your walkthroughs, fly-throughs, your show apartments. And also on top of that, at Kalpataru, which we do for all our projects, is take the customer behind the scene. We believe that because of our strength in the product, we believe in opening the hood of the car and strip apart the engine to show you what goes into making a Kalpataru home and the difference that it brings, which we call Kalpataru Roots, where you go through an entire journey of the never seen things in an apartment, like what goes in creating.
Yeah, I've seen that in Thane, yeah.
Exactly.
Where
It is. So it is there in
cement to your windows.
Because that is what matters. You know, in the longer term, that is what will matter. Now, if you absolve that responsibility to your distribution partner, there is bound to be dissonance because each of them have different objectives. You know, a distribution partner behaves very much like an FMCG retailer, which is about turns and velocity and shelf space and working capital. Right? For him to invest certain working capital in a project, he needs returns within a period of time to keep turning that. So as much as he has the right intentions, but his objectives are different. So he cannot represent you and cannot look at things which is meant to be serviced by you. So you cannot absolve that responsibility. And you are actually wasting that resource where the distribution could be more in the market, in newer markets where you are not present, to get you a higher volume of walk-ins.
Right.
Which you need, then your team can service those walk-ins and you can actually increase the scope of your distribution. So I think that's where sometimes dissonance happens, and we are very, very clear and careful about what role each of these players will play in this theater that we put up in our sales guidance.
Nice. Also, thankfully, Maharera has introduced this agent where people have to get their license and everything. But when it comes to channel partners, after having these licenses also in place, knowing that they will communicate and know the knowledge of whatever project they're associated with, do you even provide them a workshop or training when you're associating with the channel partner? So that when you're making them come visit the sales side, bringing a customer in, they are in the power of your team in terms of the communication.
That's very, very important.
Absolutely.
That's so important is that, I don't think, it can be for everything. Now, coming to the point of channel partners, I'll just go back to, the previous dissonance point. We've seen some situations where customers come with the channel partner, but they were not aware of that they are with the channel partner. I think that is one particular thing that you were referring to. So we've created, so what we do is that we implemented CRM. And in our CRM journey, it is very, very clear at the time of customer's information form that we capture at the time of first visit. It is written very clearly what is the source of customer visit, whether it is a channel partner or it is a direct. And the customer signs after reading that, so there is a signature process even when there are digital systems, when, the CIFs are filled on tabs, but then there is a process of customer signing that. So we saw some cases earlier on, which, obviously with experience, all of us become wise and we try to take care of all such things. So this is something that we've done, number one. Number two, in terms of channel partners, I just add a perspective here. I've seen broadly, what I say, I've seen three kinds of channel partners. There are one channel partners who are like consultative salespeople. They are very precise in their approach. And these are the people who been in the industry for some time. Maybe they were in some other industry and they've got good connections with HNIs or the target audience of a particular project. And they like to sell through their personal network. They try to sell through further references from the customers where they did the earlier deal. And these consultative salespeople, they like to understand the customer's requirements, understand, what is the time frame customer is looking for, what is the ticket size, what is the size, what are the amenities, which is the location, the time when the project is going to be delivered, understand very, very precisely what customer is looking for. And then take customer only to those 2-3 select projects where the customer's requirements are being fulfilled. In such cases, we find that one norm that we track, I'm sure you must be aware, is walk-in to closure ratio. So the closure ratios of these kinds of channel partners I have seen is phenomenally high. In many cases I have seen in very, very large ticket transactions, like in Crown, there is a channel partner who would bring 5 customers and there would be 4 closures. And one closure could be 15 to 20 closures. This is the channel partner which I hold very, very dearly to. Okay. Then there are second kinds of channel partners who are like, they get the customers, they would just bring in and they would hand it over to the site sales people. Boss, मैं तो customer ले आया हूँ, अभी आप इनसे बात करके देख लो इनका क्या होता है क्या नहीं. मैंने मोटा product बता दिया. You got a 3 DSK in 8 crores, 7 crores. And this guy is little less educated about the product. And he brings in, and then in such cases, we find that while there are lots of walk-ins, the efforts are happening, but then the closure ratios are lesser because this guy is taking the customers to maybe 10 different products.
Right.
Then after COVID period, ever since the performance marketing has gained momentum, there is a third variety of channel partners which has evolved. Those channel partners who do en masse digital marketing, who really scaled up their operations, who got 50 to 100 to 200 people working for them, maybe more. They've got huge team of people, who call up, telecalling, digital marketing, they source the leads, then they do the telecalling, and then, they churn the data here and there across. And these people have actually cracked a business model, which is extremely large business model, which is something like a DSA channel partner model, which happens in the banking and financial sector, or which used to happen in telecom industry earlier. So these are the people who really scaled up the operations. All three have got their advantages and disadvantages. So what we do is, you spoke about the training. Training is extremely, extremely important. I think it has to be an effort. I think we are halfway there, or I wouldn't even claim that we are halfway there. I think it is very important to bring those channel partners to the level of knowledge and efficiency of a company salesperson. But because those people are multi-brand outlet, you want to buy an Apple, suppose it is available in a multi-brand outlet. That multi-brand outlet will have only that much affection with this. For him, you buy a brand X or Y or Z, the multi-brand outlet is over. But then I think it is important to develop the brand franchise. It is important to develop the key outlets. It is important to develop the key channel partners who love working with you, developing a relationship with them, strengthen their product knowledge and understanding. So to that extent, for the last 3 years, we've been running a program which actually focuses on certain select channel partners. And we do various kinds of programs for them. We try to impart them legal knowledge. We try to impart them knowledge about digital marketing, about maybe some selling etiquettes, etc. So the association with them happens on certain platforms, of which, fun and recreation is one kind of pillar. Then the second pillar is, maybe some extended support and earning for them. And the third thing is the knowledge building session. Having said that, I think, in comparison to various other industries where I worked before, I think this is important. I think nurturing channel partners, because channel partners are your strength. They are the distribution that you have, like in FMCG or retail or any other product category that you have. I think it is important to nurture the channel partners, to which, we've started taking some steps in the last 3 years.